coming in from both of these squads, and so I'm expecting to see very fast hits coming from the attackers. The Jet obviously going to have to play off of the information that it's given, and then I imagine things are just going to be explosive. And right off the bat, it looks like everyone's just kind of running at each other.
That sometimes is the case. Son of Car happy to have that as he's found the first two, Screwface the third. So no problems here for Nightblood Gaming. And this pistol should pretty much be all but over. So maybe a chance here to kind of do a little bit more digging into the actual rosters themselves, the expectations kind of overall. As unless Bao is able to do something unbelievable, this is likely a pretty casual win for Nightblood.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of information given away. Son of Car and Screwface, a little bit low HP. At least one's getting trade down, but now Bao up in a 1v4. This one's still not looking super likely to be able to win out.
No, definitely not. So kind of discussing the history of these two teams, I think the Death started to touch on it. Like, these teams have essentially shredded their rosters from last stage and recreated them around maybe one, maybe two pieces in total. And yeah, this season's been odd, I think, for them, just because there's a level of like the expectations get reset when you're playing with a new roster, or at least mostly a new roster. But at the same front, there's also just a lack of, conviction on either side when it comes to like their results they've had recently. There's a level of, they're still fighting for playoff contention, but they're trying to figure it out, and you have to have it here.
Yeah, I mean, once again, this is the elimination match. Both these teams currently sitting in split 3, 2-3. And, also talking about how these teams kind of got Frankensteined together, I think it's important to mention that Shondex and Welly were originally from Ambrosia, who made it all the way to the finals of stage 2. And then they got knocked out by Envy finally reaching their quote-unquote final form. And as soon as Ambrosia split apart, Sad made sure to kind of scoop them up. And I'm a big fan of Shondex specifically. I think a lot of the timings that we see that Sentinel player take are always just like perfectly timed, and then suddenly the backstab is so devastating. So as for players to keep your eye on, I would recommend you watch where that Killjoy for Sad Esports is going to be hanging out.
Yeah. Also just important to note that this is, of course, Nightblood Gaming's map selection, and it makes a lot of sense. They have been playing it a lot, not just in Challengers, but also in other third-party events. So they've gotten a lot of reps, including a handful this month. Sad, trying to make their way over. Just a couple of pistol upgrades. No problems here largely for Nightblood. A couple of trades, but not much to sweat about. If you're Nightblood, they'll drop 2, and the spike will be down right in front of them at yellow. So pretty casual second round for Nightblood here with the weapon superiority.
Yeah, I mean, both that first round and the second round, casual, best way to describe it. It's just the pop-off, the myth themselves, Son of Car coming alive in the first round, and then in the second round, we just see Sad Esports kind of get crunched before they can even make their way onto that B site. Once again, not really having that Harbor or Sage. Makes me just a tad more difficult to go into, but this is when we should be able to see them buy up all of the weapons necessary. This is going to be the big rifling round coming up next. So curious to see how Sad are actually going to initiate on this one. Looks like it will be just go A and hope for the best type of thing. See the default Viper walls set up as well. Just cut off a lot of that information. But really, this is going to come down to Son of Car coming in with that Outlaw to try and find those early picks.
Well, lots of utility being tossed on top of the orb. That's enough distraction for Sad to find the first 2 kills. A lot of action unfolding over on top of A for a third time. And that will have, well, at least Screwface rotating into the site. He's the one with the significant weapon of the Vandal. Smiley just holding on for hopefully a 1-tap. And a little bit of damage tally there by Screwface. So hold the line as Nodex is trying to play around the back. So maybe a chance to stop a rotation, but here comes the commitment, and Sad will get free vacancy of the site.
Spike should be able to go down. It's just going to be more or less cleaning up these final players. Screwface, the last one left standing. Or sorry, Screwface and Noted, the last 2 left standing. We see the 0 point go in here. And I imagine this might be a call to save, especially with Screwface having that Vandal in hand. But Noted will at least try to do just a little bit of economic damage there. Finds Bao's head.
Makes this maybe more doable. Flash on the way forward, and Noted almost able to work out for another, but the Bulldog will be sacrificed, and it'll just essentially be the 1 kill to stop the Flawless from splashing our screens. But good response here from Sad. Taking the long-range weapons and finding long-range battles is always convenient, and now an opportunity to start to tally for some early ultimates, potentially, as things like Hunter's Fury starting to get a little bit closer here for Sad Esports. And I think the thing, too, is just to kind of keep an eye to see how aggressive this battle for that A orb is going to be, because so far there's been a lot of focus in these at least 2 of these first 3 rounds for that.
Yeah, like the game plan for Nightblood Gaming, especially in those early rounds, are to just kind of send it forwards. We see that early scrimmage happening almost immediately as soon as the barriers drop. Obviously, you want Son of Car being kind of that person to rush forwards here, but given coming into this round, Son of Car now going to have that operator in hand. I'm curious to see if there's going to be as much gusto as we've seen on those previous rounds. And it is kind of interesting because as soon as that kind of scrimmage happens, immediately there's a cool off period where SAD really like to take their time with things before re-engaging and trying to push back onto the site. Looks like we will be seeing more of that patented aggression with Son of Car getting very far forwards with the operator, but SAD Esports, this time it's going to be a rush for this B site, only leaving Shondex to keep A site honest. So let's see how Noted as well as Kumi are going to withstand this pressure.
Well, Noted in a little bit of trouble, but does well to keep their space. The snake bite allowing some freedom. You shake off the effects. You find a first blood. Traded back though by Bao. Screwface not in position to find an immediate trade. Fragment up and over. Looks like it was a pretty decent spot. Yeah, separates them just a touch, but the spam through the toxic screen is going to come up empty and everything will reset.
And once again, this is the issue with only having a Viper being that main primary denier of information on that B site. We see as soon as you run out of smoke, all right, just got to let that thing recharge, and it's a little bit of a standoff here. Given the fact that no rotations have really been spotted either, Nightblood Gaming have their finger on the pulse for this one. They know it probably will be this B side, and with the Viper's Wall coming up, the advancement from SAD happens.
Secondary reveal on the way over. Also the suppression onto Smiley. Has to hold their ground a little while longer than they may like, and is able to find one, but the trades are favorable towards SAD. And that'll be enough for Sonic Hard to say, nope, not interested. Take the operator and run. We're getting ourselves a tie game here early. Null Command will be ready for the next for Nightblood, but they're going to be hard-pressed to purchase much.
Yeah, their economy, it's a little bit damaged based on this one. I mean, that's the reason really why we're seeing Son of Car kind of go for the save into the rest of this round here. But I really like the pacing we're seeing SAD Esports come into this with. We're seeing immediate reactions to a lot of that pressure early in the round, like I kind of mentioned, and then they're more than happy just to kind of hold their ground, wait it out until they're ready to push into things. And it's kind of in those moments that Nightblood Gaming, they're trying to anticipate it, trying to get themselves ready for it, or try to find some timings around the map. But SAD Esports are honestly just kind of playing their own game, and Nightblood Gaming are on the kind of back heel, trying to figure out how to more or less counter that attack. So great round coming out from SAD Esports.
Yeah, good stuff to this point. And likely to follow up with another round unless Son of Car is able to find some opportunity to get something done with the operator. Maybe there's a little bit of purchase available for things like SMGs, things of the nature, but you don't figure much. And no, it's just going to be Sheriff's, the Guardian, and the Ops. So everything's going to be just tap away at range. And it looks like Son of Car may try to get a little frisky with this angle over towards B, depending on the information from the knife. And yeah, there will be an opportunity to hold this angle and maybe be able to connect as the large majority of the offense is trying to make their way through. But that reveals the entire con, as the op shot just blindly goes into the wall, and now SAD Esports are going to have to make a decision about what they want to do here.
Take a look at that. So much ground taken on middle from Nightblood Gaming. They at least explore, and as they back out, that opens up perfect timing for SAD Esports to make this rotation over to this A side. They do have to deal with 2 agents there, but at least they're avoiding the operator, and that should make things easier.
Make things very easy unless Kumi does a little bit of that little run and gun with the Sheriff. Good follow, great fragment. Derwin's going to benefit, but give credit and the assist over to Jawa, who did a really good job of separating that space. Noted trying to find re-entry. Will be tagged just a touch. Screwface up top. If you find one, maybe a Null Command can help you get a little bit deeper onto site, but no, Noted's going to drop. Now it's just down to what can you tap and hold on a second. Follow-up from Sonic Car is good for the trade. And now it's just down to Bao by themselves. Information seen, but nice follow-up shot. Connects onto Screwface. Getting us to a 1v1. Sonic Car, do you have the quick scope? And yeah, you sure do. And what a response from Nightblood when it looked like all was lost with the operator being revealed. All it took was Kumi finding one to give a numbers advantage and retake the site.
And I know it's not coming up on the screen, but that basically was a thrifty round from Nightblood Gaming there. Only Son of Car really coming in with that operator. We saw Screwface buy up the Guardian as well. And it's just kind of a couple of taps to allow the weaponry to kind of turn itself around. And of course, who else but Son of Car, operator in hand, making sure to seal the deal on that round. Kumi finding Shondex very early on as well, helping to secure the pressure. It was a pretty good bounce back, but overall, just Nightblood Gaming coming up with a couple of very clutch kills. And it really was just playing around some of those Viper's walls. Specifically the defending one that allowed that to happen. So Son of Car once again get a little bit antsy with it, moving forwards, allowing the A orb to consistently get picked up by Nightblood Gaming. They've been extremely good about that one. But Jerwin will be able to get an ultimate orb of his own, and that might be good to supplement the Blade Storm to make sure that Welly will have a rifle, as B side looks like this is going to be the hit.
At least the initial feel out. No command going to be spent. That will take the knives out of play, but it will not stop the plant. So you spam things down and you essentially reforce this retake to come through quickly. And for the defense, I think they were hoping that that was going to be able to pause things out. Now you got to do the hard job of how do you get yourself back on.
A little bit of stalling here. Viper's Pit actually gets deployed, and it's going to be Matt Son of Car, an excellent kill.
Trades back and forth. Hunter's Fury trying to slow things down for the defensive retake. Son of Car's connection gets a little bit more space at the backside of the LB. You need a lot more than that. Smoke up top. They allow an angle for not just finding some sort of a diffuse, but also for Noted to play a little bit further forward. Up shot misses, and now time is running out, but Noted, just absolutely beautiful transfer. Takes care of the last two SAD Esports member. There's plenty of time to finish the diffuse. It looked like SAD had the advantage of that post plant, but NBG just not bothered by it, able to find the way to force it.
They really just kind of looked at Nightblood Gaming and were like, that operator is a problem. Focus on the operator first. And so Son of Car getting pinged up pretty badly in the midst of this kind of fanfare happening onto this site, but still able to find the necessary kills, allowing a perfect timing for Note to just walk around the side and find an excellent spray transfer. Actually, that doesn't count as a spray transfer. It was more of like a double tap onto both of them, but excellent job to seal the deal on that round. The fact that they get also the Hunter's Fury in addition to the Viper's Pit out is a fantastic job from Nightblood Gaming, as this time a lot of pressure on A from SAD though. They're already worming their way up.
Yeah, but this is, I think, okay in a lot of regards if you're Nightblood. They actually place a late alarm bot. Not that it hasn't been seen. It will be dealt with very quickly. Aldrone is a way to try to contest the execute. And you're going to use an initial bit of utility to actually pin Jerwin into a corner. So yeah, even though Nightblood may not have been here with numbers, they had everything they needed in terms of finding the information. And then after that, it's just, again, a better arsenal leads to more eliminations and a lot cleaner. So Smiley will be the only one to drop. And how about an early 5-2 lead for Nightblood going into our next full versus full?
You look at the minimap there, and like there's 3 X's in the exact same spot, and you see SAD Esports get a little bit stuck. They can't really pass through the Viper's wall without any good utility, given the fact that Joed had already gone down. So the lack of flash, lack of information almost made it impossible to go through. You just kind of had to send it and hope for the best. Kumi has been an excellent anchor on the site thus far. Whether or not it's the Sheriff, whether or not it's the Guardian, Kumi has been holding A excellently, playing off of a bit of utility coming through from Smiley as well. So those two have done a great job at sealing the door on A, and this allows Son of Car to play this operator on B. So I like this setup that Nightblood Gaming have got going currently, because they get very early information and usually will be rewarded with a kill before having to back out under the pressure.
Opening op shot down B long. Comes up empty, but Son of Car not to be dissuaded from actually repeating this.
Okay.
That was a little bit too frisky. And now Shondex trying to feel things out on a lurk. Aldrone will scout this. Defense will be paused for a moment to make sure this is actually an execute towards B. But denying the recon forces more utility that has to come through here for SAD Esports to show their hand.
A lot of utility gets utilized from SAD to try and reclaim that space here, but Note as well as Joe or Screwface are already hanging back, and it's popping off.
Oh, Hunter's Fury in the response, though, slowing things down and also getting attacked into Welly, who's there for the plant, but Jerwin has gotten a little bit deeper than maybe you would expect, and yes, in case Kumi will be dealt with, and then Shondex follows up cleanly onto Smiley, so looked like Nightblood would have got a solid read there, but the overextension, the overpeak from Son of Car gets punished, and then the numbers just can't get back in time.
Yeah, and it feels like SAD Esports are really starting to pull this one back. Sorry, take a look at the number of kills that all the members have. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. It's kind of crazy, but I think kind of showcases at the same time just how much more consistently they're playing together and off of one another. You know, some of these rounds, it hasn't looked great. They just kind of run in there and are getting wrecked in the exact same spot. But at least it shows the dedication to that level of teamwork and coordination that we would want to see from these Valorant teams, especially at this level. As once again, it's the exact same setup on the defense. And with that operator shot going wide, you at least know where he is. And yeah, Jerwin's able to find the better half of Son of Car.
And maybe a little bit more. Nope, Jerwin just crouched underneath the aim. And yeah, there's a level here where Nightblood have maybe just bit off more than they can chew on some of these early challenges. They will have a chance to fight this off. The question will be, will it require them using things like a lockdown to slow down the approach, though? Smiley's going to go to work with the L drone, probably not going to see much. If anything, it'll see Shondex, and no, it sees nothing. So yeah, look what it does. Smiley's already pulled all the way back over to B, and it looks like they will commit to using a lockdown here, either for retake or to contest the spike, as SAD will eventually show themselves.
Yeah, the attacker's lockdown comes through. We see them wait just for a second to try and find something, but surely this should prompt a response from Nightblood Gaming to use a lockdown of their own after this spike goes down. It will be 3v5 on this retake. At least space might be guaranteed, but Jerwin takes Kumi out, so suddenly lockdown not available.
Well, shot lands for Jerwin, working on the ace, still has a chance for it, and Shondex steals it. Boo hiss. But SAD Esports, good stuff, honestly. I mean, they're getting a really solid, I mean, I'll say they're getting a solid read. They're honestly just winning opening engagements that Nightblood are over-channeling on. And they're just taking numbers and finding clean executes thanks to the superiority and overall firepower that they bring to the table. So good stuff here from SAD to get the last two in a row.
100%. Like, I'm not saying that the defense right now is starting to get a little bit readable. We see a little bit of a change up there. Wow. Scope for scope. But the thing is they just, that time around, we saw Screwface playing a little bit forwards, trying to mitigate some of the pressure onto Son of Car, but it simply just isn't enough. And now it's back onto a save for Nightblood Gaming. We see Son of Car actually bringing a Bucky onto this one. And SAD, they're shooting on all cylinders. So they're going to be rushing in onto this ace site. And it's going to be tough for Nightblood Gaming to really contest this, as it's a lot of space already taken.
Well, the wall will slow things down for a moment, and keep your eye on Son of Car, who's now slipped himself into a strong spot with the Bucky. Problem is he loses one of his teammates over towards A, so SAD Esports, knowing they have a bit of an advantage, are likely just to stay here a little bit longer, see if they can find another. And it looks like, based on how everyone's positioning, they are going to commit to this A site.
Yeah, I would imagine so, and you can see it's just kind of a wait out the utility type of game. The knife will guarantee the positioning of most of these members of SAD Esports, especially if you get both initiators, you having a better idea as to where they want to plan to go. Thankfully, a Killjoy turret will be set up on the back, keeping Son of Car honest. But I'm curious to see how Nightblood Gaming are going to receive this Jerwin popping the blades.
30 seconds left.
Well, that will do it. Screwface does fight back nicely. Almost actually has a chance for a third. That would have been disgusting, but can't quite finish the kill. And that will lead to SAD Esports with a plant. And likely the round, maybe a chance for one more elimination with the Classic, as Shondex is down to 2 health. But will be tucked into a corner. And it's going to have to be if Son of Car can find another weapon and possibly give this a go. Is able to get the Guardian. Makes things a bit more doable. Couple of tags. And yeah, these are just the shoulders now. So. Soft ball toss, the recon. Almost, but not quite.
Yeah, at that point, there's so much respect being paid to Son of Car. Like, all right, we know this is the one who can pop off potentially. So let's just play corners, keep it nice and simple. Everything is going to be great. And honestly, that is the right call. You see the kill kind of come through there, which was an unbelievable flick. Just an awareness of what's going on here. But once again, Jerwin kind of coming up absolutely clutch for SAD Esports, where we see these lulls coming through of, oh boy, how are they going to kind of do this one? I mean, Jerwin just kind of kicks the door wide open, uses the operator, finds a close kill, pops the blades, finds 2 more. It's looking really good from the Jet, especially as they're heating up early in this round. But Son of Car, Redemption finds Joa's shoulder. And so now this makes things a little bit more difficult to try and go in on the site. It's going to be SAD Esports not necessarily having the flash power in order to try and make their way through, especially knowing that the Viper's wall is set up there. Well, we've seen them walk through it before, and it hasn't really worked out that well for them previously.
Toxin screen down.
Well, a little bit of patience and pause here, as everyone's going to understand that winning this round, it's pretty critical, especially for Nightblood Gaming. You lose this one, you're back on to essentially a save into the last of the half. Oh, interesting little walk down here from SAD. Try not to reveal anything. They just try to get right up into the site unannounced, but doesn't work. Good check from Nightblood. And now the only real possible monkey wrench would be Welly. But the information's known. I don't know how he gets that read, but he does. And now Jerwin would be left into a 1v4. Very difficult. But again, for SAD Esports, they will have enough economy to purchase next round pending this doesn't go to Reddit, which it won't.
That was kind of a crazy round. I thought for sure SAD had the right read. All they had to deal with is a pesky note just hanging out onto the site. It's just a Viper. It should be fine. And I know the desk highlighted Bao as kind of one of the better players, able to find those great timings, able to just play the smokes so darn well. But on the other side as well, like, you know, Note has been doing a fantastic job at being that anchor just by yellow, very consistently finding multi-kills whenever SAD Esports kind of walk into that Viper's domain. So another player just really starting to heat things up here, as this is now last round and a half. Buy-ups on both of these sides, Bao, though only on a judge. Son of Car, watching with the operator very diligently, will get caught though.
Well, the no command is out. Aggression starting to set in just a touch. Kumi is coming on the way, still holding on to the lockdown. There's also the potential of Noted to work on the long flank and try to entrap SAD Esports here. Just a double check to make sure no one's over at mid. Sentry turret will be a little bit of an issue here in terms of Noted being able to quickly make their way around the flank. And with the knife actually revealing quite a bit here, there will not be a contest on the plant. It's going to have to be on the retake. And this is a lot of responsibility onto Noted, who will not be concealed on this flank attempt.
Oh, Jerwin.
Not sure what we're waiting for on this lockdown, but you have a chance to push it a little bit deeper with that position. But now you've lost on the flank, and Kumi's already spent it, pardon me. So now it's just down to what can you find to work your way back in through this Viper's pit. And Bao with a shotgun in it could be the win condition that they need. Shondex up top. Oh, good little back off from Bao. And now it's just down to Screwface. He's going to be taking a lot of damage inside of the Viper's pit. It will fall, and Shondex will clean things up. We'll have a 6-6 half. Pretty clean for both teams.
Yeah, and that one came through just because of Bao being able to use the Viper's Pit. I like the immediate response from Nightblood Gaming, Kubi investing the lockdown, you know, force the Viper out. But there was just enough space to make sure that Bao could keep that thing online, and it works out perfectly for SAD Esports on that attack. And yeah, kind of a sick timing from Jerwin, but doesn't quite go exactly how you would want here. The shotgun battle to kind of end things out. Once again, very close between these two teams. The desk highlighted that this map veto really favors both of them. Like, they were both picking into their own strengths, and turns out they're strong on the exact same maps, and then they're playing the exact same compositions. So wouldn't have it any other way. Let's see though what SAD have on their defense. Nightblood Gaming as well. I'm imagining we're going to be starting to see Son of Car play with a bit more support, a bit more utility getting utilized to help that Jet really start to frag out, because that's something that the people want to see. And you know that Nightblood Gaming, that's kind of their style. Set up your duelist to really just rush things down and overwhelm the enemy.
There could be some contact here at middle. Well, first shot fired is over towards B long. Not much gain, not much lost. Secondary shoulder does reveal that the offense is nearby. Jerwin will back off, doesn't want to give away too much. And actually in that process, will find one. Secondary chance? No. Screwface able to stay alive, but this is not a full commitment for Nightblood, just trying to show some force while it looks like Kumi's going to try to feel out A. What are we doing?
We're panicking is what we're doing. Suddenly Smiley in a very awkward position here. Val, as well as Welly, just kind of hanging out, but the rush through is going to happen, I guess.
Well, here we go. And we're still letting players sit in the backside of yellow. Still not a commitment here, though, from Nightblood. Problem is, look who's waiting for this rotation. Yep, it's this guy. Look at this guy. Well, this guy's going to only find one. So Noda will be down to 10 HP. He has the ability to pull the spike into A. And so, honestly, the responsibility bears the weight on Nakumi's shoulders.
I think there should be just enough time to be able to get the spike down, but if Sad decide to try and interrupt this spike, could be big. Kumi, an excellent kill.
One enemy remaining.
No follow-up. Welly, just right there in the near side. Low health pools, easy to follow up with the classic, especially since they're lined up on top of one another. So Pistol in the second half will go the way of Sad Esports, taking the edge and have an opportunity here. But again, good eliminations coming through. Nightblood could try something a little frisky if they want to.
Honestly, kind of crazy from Kumi on the last round as well. Like, first of all, this entire round was kind of shenanigans. Like, if you took a look at how the players were walking around the map, they were flanking each other, getting through their own spaces. But it was a mix of a sea of red and blue on the mini-map at the exact same time. But Welly with the fadeaway classic shots to kind of end it out after Kumi comes up huge with the Ghost, finding 2 kills, is an excellent way for Sad to regain that momentum and take that pistol round. So German taking a page out of Son of Car's book, playing very forwards with this Outlaw, and currently has been dominating in this duelist head-to-head. And so you know that confidence has to mean something, but will get scouted out immediately, so has to back out a bit.
Flash on the corner, though. Oh, thought you would have given Welly a chance, but here is that forced purchase. Now, essentially barrel stuffing at the backside of A. That's going to work out really nicely, but Jordan's still alive and well, and he's able to hit the no-scope. Bao assisting. All messy. Screwface able to find one. And now to a 1v1 with Bao. Tough shot, and he hits. Oh my goodness, a 1v2 for Screwface, saying, Roy, I saw your tweet, putting this one on my back. Easy follow-up for Nightblood.
Putting the Blitz and Blitzkrieg there. Nightblood Gaming rush in, just completely overwhelm Sad Esports on that one. It was just a pure chaotic, overwhelming factor that kind of worked out in their favor. Jerwin having the Outlaw. One of the things, obviously, the Outlaw is going to find a one-shot, one kill in this scenario, but you only got 2 bullets there. And so as a result of that, you see just the panic from Jerwin, unfortunately picking up a gun that needed to get a nice little reload, and Screwface, technically one of the VCT World Champions, picks up the final kill with a nice little headshot to close out the round. Smiley as well, punishing Jerwin so early on this round. Any of the momentum that Sad really swept up based off the pistol immediately just gets sucked right out of their engine, as Nightblood Gaming are feeling pretty nice after that thrifty.
Yeah, I'll say. Wow, this has been on a razor's edge for good, bad, ugly, and otherwise. We're here for it. Sad Esports now onto what is essentially a full save. Already having lost Jerwin, of course, on the little aggressive play over towards B long means that A will be felt out, and it'll be revealed that there is no one home. So should be a pretty casual round here for Nightblood. Sad will rotate 3 around the back towards Rafters, and we'll have an opportunity to possibly pinch with Welly's Sheriff. Well, no, just kidding. He's going to back up and go the other way.
Yeah, I'm imagining at this point, this is just kind of a, well, if they push into us, we can maybe find a couple of kills, but otherwise, let's go down to that nice little spike explosion and just really deny any of the additional ultimate orbs to the other team, eventually grab a couple of our own. So this feels a lot more subdued. Welly, excellent little flick headshot to take out Smiley. That should give a little bit of information. I think at this point, Nightblood Gaming should play a bit more conservatively if they want to find the bonus into this next round.
And it looks like they'll listen. Back off. Knife will reveal. Do we need to keep any attention here? A little bit. Kumi looking to tally a couple extra. Nope. Instead, we'll just watch all of Sad Esports sacrifice themselves to the spike. So, yeah, good stuff from Nightblood. They only drop 1. Not really that much concern with the spike plant. And honestly, you look over to the other side for Sad Esports, a pretty decent start in this half for Welly after that double he had in the pistol. So he's close to a really early Hunter's Fury, and Jerwin is one off a knife. So some really pop-off potential for Sad Esports here in the ult.
Especially given the value that Willie has been able to find off of that Hunter's Fury in the previous half. I mean, obviously playing off of a bit of information really makes it a lot easier, but was pretty consistent at least finding 1 or 2 kills, if not a couple of ping-ups with that ultimate. And so we see immediately, actually, Willie goes in, picks up the ultimate orb, is not contested at all, and that means that Hunter's Fury is online.
Trade on to mostly an even exchange. Rifle will be collected for Nightblood and then backed off just a touch. Quick route, keep an eye on Jerwin. Already stopping any possible exit, but it is just on the Welly! Well, from inside the site, and more so inside the small bit of Toxic screen, somehow just explodes for 3. And we're Nightblood, we're thinking we've got pressure at mid, we've got a good setup over towards A. Well, he says not so fast. And how about the response for SAD Esports?
It's like all of the craziest scenarios aligned there to allow Willie to kind of shut that round down completely. First of all, gets flashed up, so just hanging out on the other side, not able to flick away in time, and then just comes back in time to see the operator barrel sticking out in front of his face and just walks through, finds the spike most importantly, but also able to find Screwface in the midst of all of that as well. Really just makes it so that there's no chance at all of Nightblood Gaming to recoup that round. So despite the fact you got full flashed, it works out perfectly. And Jerwin now playing the advancement forwards, does have Bao watching the side as well. And Nightblood Gaming are getting a little antsy, but this Owl Drone should force a little bit of positioning if we don't see Son of Kar kind of fly in. And yeah, SAD respecting this, backing off. And here comes that Hunter's Fury looking for a kill. Gets 1 ping, not able to find Smiley.
And Jerwin actually is going to step up a little bit further here. Those get affected by the flash. The cloud burst will reveal a little bit of information to Nightblood. But largely Smiley is sitting here like, damn, I'm happy to be alive. Because you're also looking at him on a Hunter's Fury saying they're looking at that for potential post-plant security. So Knife comes out for the defense, doesn't reveal anything. Nightblood will have a chance to execute with a little bit of surprise here.
The Knife actually guarantees a bit more space, so you see SAD comfortably set themselves up to receive this pressure from Nightblood Gaming, but here comes the engagement.
There's the Hunter's Fury. 1 ping comes through. It connects for the second. Plus, you've also got noted deeper into the site on the scaling play. Jerwin, though, still staying alive towards rafters. The one-way smoke pushes him off for now. But honestly, in a 4v2, decision to be made here if SAD are really going to give this much of a go. And it's going to be difficult with these 2 agents to try to get deeper into the site. Yeah, and especially with Noted finding that kill. Jerwin is a little bit committed, though. And Noted will find both. So back and forth we go here. Nightblood find the edge this time.
A great job opening up that site from Nightblood Gaming as well. I mean, we talk about Smiley using the Hunter's Fury, but most importantly, what that does is you see SAD as soon as it comes out, I don't know if panic is the right word, but just be a little bit more fearful for their lives. And the Hunter's Fury, as well as the flood through, happens almost simultaneously from Nightblood Gaming. And that's the reason why it was such a successful flood in, and it completely caught SAD Esports off guard. I have to admit, when it comes to how this has been going, I think generally speaking, Nightblood Gaming have been a bit better onto this A site. You know, they're just having a better time somehow maneuvering their way into it. Obviously, SAD have found a couple of these opportunities, like the one you're seeing just in front of you. But I think, once again, they're just going to have an easier time if they continue to go onto A. And it really is going to be up to SAD Esports to try and find a way to hemorrhage some of this bleeding. Because when it's all the pressure from Nightblood, when we see that rush come through, SAD have just continuously been overwhelmed there.
So they'll sit and talk about it for a little bit longer. You also need to kind of decide what you want to do here with Jerwin's position with the operator. And I will say, you know, for operators on both sides have really determined the outcome of a couple of rounds to this point. So this is not an insignificant thing to chat about if you're SAD Esports. Well, he can't afford, though. So he's just going to play information gatherer, play a bit of an observer for us here today. And no operator. Jerwin's going to drop that and make the split-second decision to go back to a Vandal. So deep owl drone through mid. We'll put a little bit of a pause here, not just to Nightblood, but more so it also gets Jerwin into position to try to do a little bit of a heat check. And, well, this is going to largely just turn into some extra flank ability for SAD Esports, as Nightblood are going to have to try to trade this out. And actually, that is one of the worst double shells I think you may have ever seen. That was about as miscoordinated as it could possibly be.
Just the dry peek around the corner. And especially as we've been talking about Jerwin really starting to heat up, that was a confidence play and a half. Also confident from Jerwin as well. Lets the tailwind expire, so then there's no real dash available, but able to find 2 kills and then escape. Son of Car finally punishes it. But we get into this weird issue because Welly still only has a Sheriff, and now Bao, who's been a little bit more quiet during this game, might have to deal with all 3 members pushing forwards. Keep in mind as well, note 1 away from getting the Vipers, or sorry, has the Viper Spit. Kumi now has the lockdown available as well. So quite a few ultimates here to utilize if Nightblood Gaming really want to force the issue. And this round would break Sad's economy if they win.
Gun here.
Well, this is not easy now. With Viper's Pit in play, Alarm Bot will reveal at least some presence around the back, but will you know how much is the question here for Nightblood. Null Command will come through. There's the first check for Kumi. Well done, and whoa, nice snap from Kumi instead of Carr, who finds the final, but regardless, damage tallied, and how about Nightblood? Little, I wouldn't even call it a 3v4. That was essentially a 2v4 with Sudakar and Kumi dealing all of the damage on the backside of the play.
And I think that was just such a good call for Nightblood Gaming in that moment. As soon as they realize, okay, they're ready to engage on us, you see the counter pressure come through from Nightblood. They decide to all take the advantage and push out into the retake happening in front of them. Like, look at this. It's so well coordinated between these players to make sure that they can just find the kills necessary and shut it down before the retake even happens. So great pounce coming through from Nightblood. And just as I said, we're seeing Sad, their economy is broken. It will be Jerwin, though, popping the knives to try and make up for it. But with that suppression, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Let's see if Jerwin can have one of those miracle rounds, because that would really bring Sad right back into things if he can find those kills.
It's a big if, though, especially with a couple of the knives already being spent. Lockdown essentially being challenged a touch. Good fragment, but it comes through late. So now you've got an opportunity, but Jerwin, what a reset on Sudakar. Unbelievable first blood. Spikes planted. Flash coming through, but it doesn't make a difference. Jerwin still connects. Now able to find more as Kumi's out in the middle of no man's land. Screwface trying to save the round. Able to find the first. Has the ability to try to fight off more because the damage that had been tallied was significant, but it doesn't matter. Jerwin and the follow-up pistol presence of SAD Esports get us to a 1-round game again.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to put my tarot cards away, because how the heck did I know that Jerwin was just going to be able to pop off like that? That was insanity. Just dominating presence on that site. And you can see Nightblood Gaming, they're like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2. You don't expect Jerwin to have that much amount of impact on that site. Now leading the leaderboard with 22 kills, finds the fadeaway onto Smiley as well, is kind of insane. And yeah, just opens up everything to allow the Sad flood through to work out. And so that's going to be SAD Esports right back in the saddle again. Jerwin having that operator on hand, full weaponry across the entire board. Welly just 2 away from having the Hunter's Fury online. And Nightblood Gaming, a little bit, I mean, I would be scratching my head if that's how that last round went for me.
No, actually though. What is that? Null Command out. Quick play on the way for Nightblood. Nice flash to follow. As Welly was in a really good spot to potentially find an opening first blood on the cross, but instead gets damaged down to critical health. And the post plant will start to look very strong. No ultimates to break this down. Sad have to do this the hard way.
And the flood through will come back. A lot of respect being paid. And now Jerwin, operator in hand, looking for a head.
Not going to get an opening chance. Sudakar still playing forward, plus also the long-range shots from Kumi work out. You're trying to follow up with a good utility push to make sure the spike stays clean. And that will work for Nightblood to get to 11. Welly will survive, or at least should. But still, that's a very quick bounce back. This has been a bare knuckle boxing match right now between these two teams.
Honestly, once again, we were anticipating that it would be close, but not like a round for round kind of close matchup between the two there. Not able to escape just at the very end. But honestly, interesting move from SAD Esports. You see them actually back out of it. They understand that they haven't been doing a good job of mitigating the pressure that Nightblood Gaming kind of run at them with. So they give them respect. They back off the site, but this is Icebox. It gets so much more difficult when you're trying to retake on Icebox, especially with the agents that are coming in. Like, you look at the stall utility. We got the, what do you call it? The Killjoy volleys. We've got the shock darts. We've got the Viper's spit. There's so many different tools available to really just stop people from defusing the spike. And so you kind of run into this awkward scenario where when you try and flood back in, there's just so much util that can be dumped into you, and you've wasted so much time doing anything. And well, we're seeing SAD now take their second time out to try and figure out if they can figure out a way to start to pull this one back, because as soon as these halves have kind of swapped around, well, we're seeing Nightblood Gaming really start to take off with it and find an advantage and ready to kind of pack up map number 1.
Good stuff so far. SAD Esports going to chat, and it looks like this time Jerwin will commit to the op. Plenty of economy for Joa to buy, so everything is fine. We'll also keep in mind there's really not any ultimates that are going to be in play this next round. So critical here for SAD to have something that's a little bit more vanilla in the game plan come to life. Op on the other side for Kumi, though. Ooh. But it looks like Kumi's going to just use that for flank watch, at least initially, so... See if there's going to be any opening here for Jerwin, who will be in the mix and getting forward. Presence seen as scouted by Nightblood. And I think they know something's up here. They're like, nah, we're good.
And honestly, I think just that early pressure from SAD Esports is really good because it forces Nightblood Gaming immediately to call that rotation. My opinion, that might have been a little bit too preemptive, but now they're going to try the gauntlet of B here. I mean, obviously, we do see Note having it on early Hunter's Fury, but getting a tag up is absolutely massive. No kill secured, but that's information.
Yeah, Operator will be seen, or at least heard now for Nightblood, but they're still committing forward. And yeah, deep utility, actually a Son of Car, really far forward. It's Snowman, but pow! From inside the site does well. Noted able to pick up onto Kumi's Operator, or at least they trade. And that's an opportunity for one trade to come through, speaking of. So now Kumi with the Vandal is in kitchen with an opportunity to try to catch some of this defensive rotation. And, ooh, the timing is awkward, to be sure.
Honestly, I think that this Viper's Pit might actually be not the best move. I see Nightblood Gaming going for this retake into it. The spike just in front of Bao should be able to hopefully find one, not die by spam.
Suppression out, but again, still staying strong inside the toxic screen, and that's enough for Screwface to drop. Actually, a little bit of spam there on the Kumi's going to allow SAD Esports to come back through, and Bao just holds their ground beautifully inside the Viper's Pit, comes away with 4, and now SAD Esports back to within 1.
Hey, yo, Bao, sorry, I was not familiar with your game there. That Viper's Pit works out perfectly. I thought, you know, the way that it happened was we see the Viper's Pit immediately deploy. The rest of SAD Esports, they go off of the site because then they're like, well, the Viper's Pit should be able to hold it down. And it's just like 3 sharks circling there. Sure, it makes notes. Operator not as effective at those long ranges, but I thought for sure there were going to be enough mollies, enough clearage that they should have been able to snake that Viper out of the pit. But not necessarily the case, winning things back, and now it's SAD Esports 1 round away from tying it against Nightblood Gaming. As once again, we see that early aggression, but keep in mind, this is a very scattered buy coming in through Nightblood.
Oh, they got the flash being held. No push behind that, but it does allow a peek for Jerwin. And now the crossfire setup with these weapons. Well, I was going to say, it looks pretty strong, but it's getting broken down as Nightblood have essentially just taken a hammer to the front side of A. Forces out the lockdown, but committing for the plant will be Smiley. Plenty of time to get back, but very well may be detained. No, finally be safe. Defense able to get back forward just a touch. Now the next set of battles, the most important of them. And Shondax will make sure that the post plant is held. Problem is, Screwface is still alive and well. The reveal should allow for some spam to come through. Jerwin trying to play bodyguard. Gets to halfway. Fragment to follow. Puts the scope down. Opportunity for Screwface to still hold the angle. Couple extra taps. He thinks he's got the angle on it. He stops the defuse for a moment. But plenty of time to finish things off as Bao with 16 health gets us back to tie.
Yeah, 11-11 Make-A-Wish, and excellent retake there coming in from SAD Esports. The big change up here, okay, yeah, of course, Nightblood Gaming. We're coming in with a little bit of a scattered buy. The two Vandals kind of catching SAD Esports by surprise, as we see, like, Nope kind of go for some sick kills there, but it works out because they're able to take a couple of members out before they flood in onto the site. Better crossfires being held this time by SAD Esports, and better opportunities being taken by Shondex, by Bao to pop out just at the right time to find a couple of kills and then duck back into the site. So great job coming through. Battle of the Operators, Battle of the Duelists, Battle of the Jet happening yet again. But it will be Nightblood Gaming. They're taking their talents over to that B site, more interested in there. And already we see the Owl Drone committed to try and scope out that operator, because German has been on a crazy opping spree on this map thus far. And just as much as respect they need to pay to Sunakar, they need to pay it right back to German.
Yeah. Well, trying to feel this one out just a touch is Sunakar, waiting to see if there's going to be any sort of a peak. Is there anything that you can do to try to pull the defense out? Nothing being spent yet. Owl Drone not available. You maybe can get some information with the deep recon bolts. But with the poison going up, oh, that's not what you want to use to break that. Hunter's Tree are going to come through behind this for Smiley, and not able to do too much, but Sunakar still finds one, so numbers advantage here for NBG. They're not committing, looking for 35 seconds to re-rotate this back to A, which is wide open.
An interesting hit, all things considered. I was going to say, the fact that they're so split up, that to me doesn't necessarily make sense. Oh no, German finds Son of Car in the midst of all of that. The Hunter's Fury gets invested as well from Nightblood Gaming. And you know what? It's even across the board here. See how SAD want to retake the site.
Well, the problem is going to be noted. Yeah, off this, Poison is able to find essentially a one-way from that angle. Shondex, Jerwin, Jawa. Last three left here for SAD Esports, and not a lot of information to gather here. Knife is still available. That will be used and should reveal that this post line's actually holding the front door, but Shondex misses their first opportunity. Jawa does what they can, but there's just so many players that can watch over the top of this post plant. Time becoming a bit of an issue. You have to hit this. Jerwin just a little bit wide, and Noted will finish things off to get to 12. Do we get overtime, or will we get map one done? Hard to say.
Honestly, it really is like how these rounds have been going, just back and forth between these two teams. It really could be anyone's game, given the fact that it is a little bit more of a save coming through from SAD Esports. The advantage should be moving over to Nightblood Gaming, but I mean, it's so... Watching the replays, like, that's Icebox. Sometimes you're able to win it out, and sometimes you just kind of die to people poking around corners watching long on A side. So it can be frustrating sometimes with SAD Esports. Let's see what their answer is going to be. 3 Guardians and a Judge coming through for them. Jerwin just one away from getting the Blade Storm back online, which we've seen do unreal things to Nightblood Gaming, and a bit more of a default this time. Nightblood Gaming not interested in going for their ragtag rush. Instead, play things very slowly. Want to try and force errors out of SAD Esports. Find a lucky pick. Make sure that you seal the deal on this map. As Kumi, taking a lot of space on mid, could find the backs of some of the SAD Esports players.
Here comes the null command. Knives will connect. And you also find Jawa. Is he in a recoverable position? May not be with Kumi on the backside for the double outlaw shot. And then the finishing punch provided by Noted. What a weird icebox. I mean, entertaining to be sure, but there is a whole lot of no care is given. We're just going to kind of force it, kitty hard. And wouldn't you know it, it provided some interesting rounds of Valorant to be sure. Could not have been closer than that.